Greetings and welcome to the program Speak Up with Morella on Mental Wellness TV. Today we come together to explore a deeply human and emotionally charged subject that touches the essence of every relationship we form throughout our lives. Our topic is when a relationship has been betrayed and how we can understand, heal, and ultimately transform the pain that betrayal brings into wisdom, strength, and emotional balance. We will reflect together on what betrayal really means, how it manifests, how it affects our psyche, and how we can find our way toward recovery and greater well-being. When we think about betrayal, our minds often go immediately to infidelity or disloyalty. Yet betrayal in relationships extends far beyond physical or emotional unfaithfulness. It can emerge in moments of broken trust, dishonesty, lack of emotional presence, neglect, or any behavior that contradicts the mutual respect and transparency upon which a relationship is built. Betrayal is the fracture of a sacred agreement, spoken or unspoken, that two people will honor each other's vulnerability and safety. From a psychological point of view, betrayal represents a profound rupture in attachment. According to studies in the Journal of Trauma and Stress, the human brain processes betrayal similarly to how it processes physical pain. Neuroimaging research shows activation in the same neural regions responsible for emotional distress and threat response. This means that when we experience betrayal, our entire system, emotional, mental, and physiological, responds as though we are in danger. We may feel shock, disbelief, rage, sadness, or deep confusion. We must understand that betrayal is not limited to romantic relationships. It can occur in friendships, families, workplaces, or any bond of trust. What makes betrayal so devastating is not only the act itself, but the collapse of the emotional foundation that held the relationship together. Betrayal shatters the inner sense of safety that allows us to be open and authentic with another human being. In relationships, trust is the invisible architecture that sustains intimacy. When it is broken, our sense of reality also fractures. We begin to question everything. What was true? What was real? Was I blind? Did I misjudge? This cognitive dissonance, the clash between what we believed and what we discovered, creates emotional chaos. It is the mind's attempt to reconcile two conflicting realities. Betrayal often awakens old wounds. For many of us, it reactivates earlier experiences of abandonment, rejection, or unworthiness. These layers of pain merge, making the current event feel overwhelming. We are not only grieving the betrayal in the present, but also the echoes of betrayals from the past that were never fully healed. Understanding this psychological layering helps us approach our pain with compassion rather than judgment. The first stage of healing begins with acknowledgement. We cannot heal what we refuse to feel. Many of us try to rush through pain, to forgive too quickly, or to intellectualize the experience. Yet, true recovery begins when we allow ourselves to sit with the reality of what happened. We may ask ourselves, what exactly was betrayed? Was it trust, honesty, respect, or emotional presence? Naming the wound gives it shape and clarity. It allows the healing process to begin. The second step is understanding that betrayal does not define our worth. Often, the betrayed partner internalizes guilt or shame, believing they were not enough. This is a natural response to trauma, as the mind seeks to make sense of what feels senseless. However, betrayal is a reflection of the betrayer's internal conflict and disconnection from integrity. It is never a proof of our inadequacy. Healing begins when we separate our identity from another's actions. In therapy, we often explore the emotional landscape following betrayal through stages similar to grief. There is shock and denial, followed by anger, sadness, and eventually acceptance. Each stage serves a purpose. Shock protects us from emotional overload. Anger helps us reclaim our sense of power. Sadness allows us to grieve what was lost. Acceptance opens the door to understanding. Healing is not linear, it unfolds in cycles. Some days we feel at peace, and on others, the pain resurfaces. This is not failure. It is the natural rhythm of emotional integration. To rebuild our emotional well-being, we can practice several strategies rooted in both psychology and mindfulness. The first is grounding. When betrayal destabilizes us, our body and mind may feel disconnected. Simple grounding techniques, such as deep breathing, feeling our feet on the floor, or focusing on physical sensations, help bring us back to the present moment. This reconnects us with safety in our own body. Another essential practice is emotional expression. Suppressed emotions can transform into chronic stress or physical symptoms. Journaling, art, movement, or therapy sessions offer safe ways to release what we carry. According to research from the University of California, people who write about traumatic experiences for at least 15 minutes a day show lower cortisol levels and improved immune function. Expressing our truth in words helps integrate the experience cognitively and emotionally. We also need to rebuild boundaries. After betrayal, our trust radar becomes hypersensitive. We may struggle to trust others or even ourselves. Establishing healthy boundaries means learning to say yes and no consciously. It involves recognizing red flags without projecting past pain onto new experiences. Boundaries are not walls. They are structures that allow safety and freedom to coexist. Forgiveness is another complex but transformative step. Forgiveness does not mean condoning or forgetting. It means freeing ourselves from the emotional chains that bind us to the wound. Forgiveness is not for the betrayer. It is for our own liberation. Studies from Stanford University's Forgiveness Project have shown that individuals who practice forgiveness report lower blood pressure, reduced anxiety, and greater life satisfaction. True forgiveness arises not from denial, but from understanding. When we see the limitations and fears that drive human behavior, compassion becomes possible. However, forgiveness should never be forced or premature. It must arise naturally, after we have fully honored our pain. Premature forgiveness often suppresses emotions rather than transforms them. Healing requires time, reflection, and self-respect. In some cases, betrayal marks the end of a relationship. In others, it becomes an opportunity for rebirth. Whether we choose to rebuild or to part ways, the path forward depends on mutual accountability and transparency. Rebuilding trust requires consistent actions, open communication, and emotional honesty from both sides. It is a process measured not in days, but in sustained integrity. From a spiritual perspective, betrayal can become a profound teacher. It reveals where illusions have existed and where truth is calling to emerge. Through betrayal, we are invited to examine our expectations, attachments, and boundaries. It asks us to discern the difference between love and dependency, between illusion and authenticity. Often, the greatest spiritual awakenings come through the breaking of what was false. Pain becomes a doorway to self-awareness and transformation. In our daily lives, we can nurture healing through self-care and connection. Self-care after betrayal is not indulgence, it is necessity. Our nervous system has been through shock, and we must soothe it with gentleness. This might mean regular sleep, nourishing food, time in nature, or practices that restore calm, such as meditation, yoga, or prayer. Social support is also vital. Sharing our story with trusted friends or support groups helps us feel seen and validated. We can also engage in small daily rituals of empowerment. Every morning, we can affirm to ourselves, "I am whole. I am worthy. I can trust life again. These affirmations may seem simple, but neuroscience shows that repeated positive statements rewire neural pathways over time. The more we affirm our worth, the more the brain integrates it as truth. Therapeutically, working with a counselor or psychotherapist provides a structured and compassionate space to process betrayal. Cognitive behavioral approaches help us challenge distorted thoughts such as, I will never trust again. Emotionally focused therapy allows couples to explore underlying attachment needs and rebuild emotional safety. Mindfulness-based therapies teach us to observe pain without becoming consumed by it. Each approach contributes to restoring psychological balance and clarity. Scientific evidence supports the potential for growth after betrayal. The concept of post-traumatic growth, introduced by psychologists Richard Tedeschi and Lawrence Calhoun, refers to the positive psychological change that can emerge following adversity. Many individuals report deeper empathy, stronger boundaries, and renewed purpose after processing betrayal. In essence, what once broke us can become the foundation for a wiser and more authentic self. As we move toward healing, it is essential to remember that rebuilding trust begins within. Before we can trust another again, we must trust ourselves, our intuition, our judgment, our capacity to discern truth. This self-trust forms the cornerstone of emotional freedom. When we trust ourselves, we no longer fear betrayal, because we know we can protect, heal, and nurture our own heart. Throughout this process, we must also hold space for grace. Healing is not about perfection, but progress. There will be moments when we still feel anger or sadness, and that is natural. Emotional scars remind us of our resilience. The heart may break, but it also expands. Every act of self-care, every honest reflection, and every compassionate thought rebuilds the bridge to inner peace. In the end, betrayal, painful as it is, teaches us about truth. It strips away illusion and reveals what is real. It reminds us that love must be rooted in integrity to flourish. When we face betrayal consciously, we transform it from a wound into wisdom. We discover that our worth is not diminished by another's actions and that our capacity for love remains intact. Here concludes our presentation for today. We invite you to share with us the topics that concern you, the questions that arise in your personal experiences, and the themes you would like us to explore in our upcoming episodes. The issues you bring to us will be discussed in future programs as we continue to journey together toward awareness, understanding, and healing. Stay with us every day for a new dose of strength, joy, and inner balance. We also invite you to visit our website and explore the specialized collections we have prepared for every dimension of mental and emotional well-being. You will find resources designed to support healing, promote self-awareness, and enhance the quality of your inner and relational life. Until next time, we invite you to care for one another, but above all, to care for ourselves. May you always be well.